Hey everybody, it's Jim of Animateducated. I just got back from screening the new K-pop Demon Hunters film by Netflix, and I went to the screening and I got to get this cool, yeah, I'm cool now. I can put this on and walk around and maybe even start my own K-pop band. I don't know. Maybe that's not a good idea. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to let you watch the Q&A, which I recorded after the screening. There's not really any spoilers out there. If you're really interested in K-pop music or music in general, I think you'll like this. You'll like this question answer. So here it is. Enjoy.
Great. Let's talk about where this movie came from. Well, first I need to give you guys much credit for the amazing response, the highest reviewed animated movie of the year, number one movie, number one soundtrack. How are you all feeling? Don't jump into it, Maggie.
It's really, it's so surreal, guys. I think everyone makes art because you want it to resonate with people and as many people as possible, but this is beyond our imagination, and it's been really wonderful. We're so grateful. I'm just at a loss for words. Every day I'm just surprised at how many more people the movie's reaching, how many more people are listening to the music, and it's so incredible to get this response.
Chris knew the whole time it was going to be a phenomenon. No surprise there. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
It's neat because we live in a time now too where the feedback of an audience is so articulated. I read a lot of TikTok comments in the last, but there'd be
for good or bad.
No, maybe the amazing thing is there's a kind of democratic wisdom. Someone writes a comment that distills what Rumi's journey is about, and everyone votes it to the top. And as filmmakers, you spend, like Maggie said, years in a bubble wondering, is this going to make any sense to anybody? And then to hear, your almost the exact words from the writing room, channeled through the audience back, and everyone saying, yeah, it's about this and that, and this part made me feel this, and that was just the specificity of everyone's connection to the material kind of blew me away.
Yeah. Let's talk about the origins of the movie. Maggie, do you want to talk about? It's such an amazing kind of hodgepodge of amazing cultural things and pop cultural things. And so, what were the early days of K-pop Demon Hunters?
It was never meant to be a K-pop thing. That wasn't what I was trying to create. It was just wanting to see an animated movie set in Korean culture. That's where it started from. I'm Korean, and I knew that the desire for that was already in Korea. I had talked to a bunch of, some producers and production companies really early on in my career. And I was like, oh, that'd be great. I would love to work on something like that. And, 15 years went by and we didn't get anything like that.
Yeah.
Nothing like that was in development. And so when I got to the kind of thinking about what I could want to do, as a director, that's where I started. And I just leaned into demonology. I just thought iconically, just visually, that was just something I hadn't seen. Specifically the sajas, which are the Grim Reapers of Korea. And then that just naturally led to Demon Hunters. And that kind of created this opportunity to create a different kind of female superhero because already that market is so saturated, but I felt like I didn't see quite yet a female superhero depicted in a little stupid and silly and the way that I know women to be and kind of the way I am. So I was like, oh, that could be a good way to do that. And then the K-pop of it all just kind of came separately. And and then actually just talking to my husband yesterday, he said, you had this idea, the demon hunting thing, and then you had another K-pop thing, and he was like, why don't you just put them together? And oddly, it really meshed well. And it opened up possibilities for musical dance fighting and, you know, punches like to the beat, like how Baby Driver does.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how this came up, you know, this came together, and instantly it just made it a much more like, you know, it made it a musical, first of all, and brought that spectacle of fashion and music and food and art and glitz and concerts and all these things that I love. So I was like, oh, this is bigger than, you know, where it started from, but it was great. But, you know, I think as we started working into it, we realized like how big it is and how many layers were needed, like the music and the choreography and all the fashion, and we had to figure out how to do that, and a lot of that was never done in animation, so that was really challenging. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about you and Chris's kind of partnership? And Chris, I love you to say, you know, I love your origin story on this project, and I would love to hear about
Sure, yeah. I think it was when Maggie first told me about the project, it was so clear immediately how personal it was to her, like she just described. Which is always, when you have a collaborator who wants to make something original, that's so important.
Yeah.
And my wife is an author, and she's been mad at me for 20 years, basically like, why are there no weird, funny, angry, vengeful, food-loving, fashion-loving characters in animation that are female?
That's very specific.
Yeah.
It's weird how that aligns.
And I was like, and that's what Maggie was telling me, like, I want to have these kind of girls, and I was like, dude, if we could do this,
gonna get me out of the doghouse.
I'll be in such a good place. But the other thing was, I grew up classically trained in music and made lots of music in my 20s. None of it was very good, but I love it so much.
Some of it's really good.
Don't look it up. I think my love of music is like 49-51 with my love of film and animation.
Okay.
So as soon as Maggie told me about this, I'm like, I've been waiting 20 years to make a film with music at the core. And I think Ian would speak to this too. That's the way these original projects build momentum, is like something personal that Maggie wanted to see glues with something personal I want to see, and you just keep, it's like a Katamari ball, you just keep adding people,
Right.
and it builds momentum, and it becomes more than either of us could have dreamed, because it's the sum of all these other people's.
Well, and Maggie, I love that you were like, I don't need another director on this thing. And Chris, you were coming off of Wish Dragon, and you were like, I need a rest for several years, and then you both kind of came together, like.
Yeah, you know, I met a few different possible partners, and I think Chris was the only one who talked about his personal connection to the idea, and you know, and leaning into the music side of it, which, you know, I love music, but my relationship to music isn't what it is with Chris, you know, for him. So I thought, oh, that's like a really different way to see this movie, and that's what I really connected to when, you know, talked to Chris about it. And I was naive. I was naive. I was like, I could do this on my own. And every day I'm like, oh my god, I'm so glad that Chris is here. And then when I come to work and they're like, Chris is out today, I'm like. It's a lot. It's a lot.
The movies like this, they basically demand things from the universe, and like our early art team and people like our producer Michelle and Ian. It's like the universe pulls them into the orbit somehow and attaches them, and I think that's been my experience of movies that have a real destiny or a soul to them. Yeah.
Did you ever wonder about the audience for this, or did you always know in your heart of hearts that people would connect to it?
I had a lot of doubts.
Okay.
You know, of course. I think when you're putting your heart out there and you're putting yourself out there, which I felt like this movie was, and it really was. I was putting, a lot of times I was putting my face up there, because, you know, the animators would do exactly what I would express in the room, and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's it always feels like a risk, but I've kind of learned that unless you're scared, you're probably not doing anything great. And I started to just lean into my confidence and just about the material and about the jokes and the tone of everything, and you know, I think Chris and I both were like, this movie is a collection of everything that we love about everything, about animation, but also fashion and shoes, and just down to every little thing has to be designed in animation. So it was a real labor of love. But you know, as Chris is saying, as we were building our team, everybody that came in every single department loved this movie just as much as we did, and it was incredible, like how much people put, you know, themselves into even designing a little logo or something on Ruby's jacket. And so it's, you know, I started to believe that this could be, you know, something that people could love. And you know, when it came out, it was I mean, I was just crying. It was just a lot. And I think when the trailer dropped and the response was really positive, that really, you know, a lot of anxiety left my body. But, you know, it really inspires me to want to take more risks and do something kind of similar to this, but also different. And I hope that this opens up opportunities for other creators to, you know, really lean into their fears and try stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cultural specificity ended up making it kind of universal in a wonderful way. But I mean, this movie is quite an accomplishment, and I was wondering what kind of like hurdle or speed bump, either story-wise, visually, technologically, did you sort of wonder how you were going to get over, and then how did you get over it?
Which one should we share, Chris?
Chris just deep side.
Speed bumps. Maybe it would be fun to talk about. So I feel like it's really interesting because Golden is this incredible success, and I think Ian could.
Chris, you're stepping on my line.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, I just when you have a movie like this, it's such a puzzle.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Maggie had certainty about from day one was like, I don't want this to be an origin story. This movie we will somehow learn who these girls are and a bit of where they came from, but that's not what this movie is starting in the present.
Right.
And we really struggled to figure out how to do that, and every time we kind of made a scene out of it and showed them as little trainees, it was cool, but the movie was like, nah, it just kind of rejected it. And that eventually coalesced as we were working with Ian on the songs with this idea that the song that the girls were performing in the first act, kind of their next single, was a kind of biopic, like as you like a Biggie song like Juicy or something. It's basically a zero to hero story,
right,
telling the story of who I am in song. And so it became this, and then Ian, because he's comes from musical theater and has real story chops, just hammered us. It was so annoying, but so many good questions about who are these girls really, and what is it? What do they mean to each other, and all of the things that you need to answer as writers, honestly. Yeah. And so the song became this collection of character information and buy-in about what these characters believe in and what they're dreaming and where they came from. And then when Ian finally played us the demo that we selected, it was this really kind of wonderful, triumphant moment of like we unlocked the story thing that had really had us stuck for years, and the result of that was this great song that like fit right in the movie.
Yeah.
So that was like just these are such puzzles, 85 minutes, all this stuff, and that was like, it seems like we're way smarter than we are based on the efficiency of that solution, but we just bumbled our way there eventually, yeah.
But it's so good to see that song be so loved.
Yeah.
Because it was so hard to get there.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, let's jump into the songs because Ian is dying to talk. Dying to talk. I mean, yeah, every song has some narrative kind of really some heavy lifting, each one. And I think a bad version of this movie would have been like, the songs were funny, or, you know, they were kind of like pastiche or something. But these are real K-pop songs, and I feel like that's why people are responding so well. But like, yeah, talk about cracking that open. And Ian, tell me like how you arrived there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it was 22. You guys, how long were you into the process by then? 100 years. So I came in year 101, and I saw this really, really cool screening that was, I think, like 20 minutes at that point, maybe 30 minutes, that had some songs that were in as demos just to sort of discover tone and what this might feel like. And I was so drawn to the story. I was just so... I think that is actually the thing that pulled me in, was just this complex story about someone learning to accept all of themselves, and it was only then that they could fully be in society and contribute and be part of the community. But then I'd actually loved K-pop for a long time, just because I always felt like it was so theatrical. And it's like the biggest genre of music, which I think lends itself to a cinematic space. So we, Chris, Maggie, myself, our amazing producer Michelle Wong, we had a lot of meetings.
Michelle's here.
Where's
There she
Michelle?
is.
There she is. I bet we spent hundreds of hours together envisioning songs, and the goal, which is really challenging, was always to create real K-pop songs, and also to create songs that somehow forwarded story, character, or evolved a theme. And we had Spring Aspers at Sony, who's president of their music department, brought in all of these K-pop hitmakers for us. We had E.J. Kim, who you are hearing as the voice of Rumi, who also wrote a lot of songs and lyrics. We had the Black Label, who obviously birthed Blackpink, among other things. Stephen Kirk, Jenna Andrews, Lindgren. And then, you know, as we got into it and realized we really needed the narrative side of this and started unpacking what these are, we brought in someone who's actually in this theater named Mark Sonnenblick. And so, I mean, it was really interesting because a lot of films are made by, like, composed by two people.
Right.
And also a lot of them come from way more of a story, narrative place than pop music making hit records today. So it was a really fun challenge to figure out how do you sort of partner different people together for different song slots to create this thing that I think we always chose, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, if we had to choose, we'd always lean towards K-pop and a song that was as good as any record. But the thing is, we didn't stop until the lyrics and the story also existed there. And I think that was crazy making for everyone.
Yeah.
And the thing that is the superpower of these songs is that many of these songs had 5, 6 songs written for each slot. Golden had many songs written by many writers until we arrived at the one. And it was the kind of thing where it's like, oh, you write this song. Oh, actually, you write this instead. I'm going to throw that song to somebody else. And I'd never experienced that before.
So how were the like traditional musicians kind of reacting to, okay, we got to get these story beats across, you know, and like, was that a challenge? What was that?
I think with like Black Label and various people, I think it took us at least a year just to sort of like bring them.
Process. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it was never about you have to write songs like other film songs have been written. And like one of the reasons I love this project is I always wanted to do a music-driven project that was like the bones of it were a musical, but it didn't smell like a musical. Like it was really something that felt organic to the world. There's always that moment in musicals where people start singing, and either the audience is like, I didn't want that.
Right.
Why did you do that to me? Or they're like, cool, this actually elevates everything. So, you know, yeah, it was interesting working with everybody, and it was a true community and team.
Okay. But you sort of knew it when you got there to the kind of like what the final song would be.
We did.
I think
but
I
even
had-
then, we were still like,
There's also like a musical ick thing that I have where I'm like, no,
Which I appreciated. I really appreciated it because like
Let's unpack this.
Yeah.
What is the musical ick? You're a little
Just like-
allergic to the form or what?
I mean, I
Yes.
just like what Ian's saying. I think there are musicals that I love, and then other ones I'm like, oh.
Right.
I think one way to say that she doesn't like bad musicals.
Yes, I don't like bad musicals.
Nobody
Or
likes
cheesy
bad
musicals. But some people like really want just spectacle, and there are shows that exist like that. That's not what Maggie and Chris wanted.
But because I think even in our first conversations, we were like, no, this isn't a musical, and Ian's like, yes, it is.
Right.
It is.
You guys are
right? It functions like one.
And it's one of the rare musicals where there are like multiple fake in-universe bands that have different sounds and all that. And I was wondering if you all could speak to that as well.
I was thinking about it this week because I think one of the things that was really fun when we were writing the songs, we would talk about the specifics of like, let's say Takedown. It's like this is the girls writing about these demon boys that they're really pissed at and they want to literally slice their heads off. But we also wanted it to be a pop track that we talked a lot in analogies. Like this is a song about your ex-boyfriend that you hate.
Right.
And you're like, you're so fake, and like everyone's gonna find out what a jerk you really are eventually. And so with every song, we thought of it in two ways. One of specific to our movie, and then what is just the vibe that is a pop song vibe. And fortunately, I think because of Maggie's original concept, it's where the story called for songs also lined up with genres of pop songs. Take like how it's done is like a anthemic badass declaration of who we are. Like this is our turf. That's like so many great pop songs do that. All the way to something like what it sounds like, which is a very heart on sleeve, vulnerable anthem thing that again that's a whole genre of pop song, and it also happened to be what our story needed. So I think that's maybe part of why the pop and the musical storytelling work so well.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of temping, which was super helpful. And there was, I don't think any
like
song.
the type of song that was.
Like what was so cool, which I have way more live action background. So what was fun with animation was they'd have a sequence, storyboard, and then we could just try different existing songs against it. It was never people have been like, what is this song based on? And we would launch the writers with 8 to 10 songs, so there's no like, this song is this song, but it was super helpful to try out vibes and even shift them section to section.
Right. And was it fun to create those sort of like musical identities for the different bands? And
It was. For the Saja Boys, I always knew that I wanted the first song to be very like bubblegum and pop and really saccharine, like so sweet that you're kind of like ick, but then it should never cross that ick because it is, supposed to be a really good pop song.
yeah.
And then I wanted just them to just completely change vibes because from my experience of like in the 90s being fans of a K-pop band and not having like social media like we do now, when your favorite boy group goes away and comes back, they can sometimes present themselves in a completely different look, like much darker, and you're like, oh. And my sister and I would be like, do we? And you're kind of like, sussing each other out,
Right.
like, do you like this? But then you don't, you're a stan, so you're like, I have to like it, and then you're just like, yeah. And that's the vibe that we really wanted for your idol. So that idea was always kind of there. I also really just love that all the girl songs are just very different.
Yeah.
There's something for everybody.
But they still feel a part of the same. Yeah.
That it could be under.
Yeah. I would.
one-
Yeah. An album. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you think that their listeners are like, they talk about demons a lot?
I do.
Yeah.
I love those TikToks where they're like, there's one that I saw recently, like, did they just kill that Saja boy? Oh, and then calling 911 like, I'm at the concert. I think Huntress is killing people. It's one of my favorite reactions.
I love it. All right, let's talk about Golden. Even though Chris brought it up too early, it is the song that is going to be submitted for the Oscar. It is. Everyone in this room is waiting for it. Applause means. But talk about, selecting that song as the kind of like, song that you're going out with. It's a big decision, but yeah, Ian, you want to talk about that?
I think what's interesting about Golden is sort of what Chris was saying, that it is their sort of zero to hero story. And songs sort of, we talked about function in two ways, and we really simplified it. What was it, to I know I'm singing, or I'm singing my thoughts, right? Was that, I know I'm singing songs, I'm singing my thought songs.
Is that
diegetic is when music is naturally part of the world, people are singing. So we have those, which is
3 years later, I still don't know.
Right, that's all right.
Non-diegetic is when it yes, of course, it's when the music overlaying on the song, but people in the scene are not hearing the music.
Exactly, that's such a great way to go.
Yes.
But what's interesting about Golden is it does both for us, right? Because it is diegetic, it is a performance number, it is their zero to hero. We always talked about it being like a music video. You learn subtly about the girls. Like, we don't go into great detail, but you get their vibe. You know what you need to know, but it's also their I want song, which I do believe every musical, whatever we call it, a musical, not a musical, needs, which is something for us to root for with the girls. Which at that point, it was not the thing that they found out they ultimately wanted, but it was, we're going to seal the honeymoon and we're going to be superstars and we're this close. And then all of a sudden you go backstage and it is non-diegetic, and suddenly Rumi is just singing her inner thoughts, which is very different and a huge contrast to what they just sang on stage. And honestly, for me, it's like so interesting to me that the audience for pop music is so connecting to that one, because I think we're all a little concerned of like, are we ruining the song by doing this non-diegetic bridge in the middle of it? And it also, it just sort of runs the whole gamut, and I think it is that beautiful calibration of a specific lyric, but it's still a pop lyric. Does so much storytelling for us, and that was written by Black Label, E.J. Kim and Mark Sonnenblick, so that was also a huge collaboration of artists, because Black Label has more writers, producers on their team than even we know about.
And another thing that I've always talked to Ian about is, I wanted Golden to be a very challenging song to sing.
Oh yeah.
Because they're reaching for this dream, so like I just wanted that reach to feel that in the vocals. And as a Korean person and coming from a nation that loves karaoke, I just know that people, being a good singer is like a thing to show off, in the Asian community. So like you want people to like want to sing it and show that off. So like that would get a lot of listens.
To be fair, I've now had so many people, musicians, music producers, be like, what the hell? They were like, that's not okay. No one will be able to sing that.
But it came in late. I mean, were you sweating it a little bit? This is kind of like the emotional climax.
We were a little bit, right? Yeah. I remember
January, which is really late for a song animation.
Because you have to animate to it. Well, you have to produce it and then record it, all of that stuff, and then it has to go into animation. So that shot where she's singing in front of the mirror is one of the last shots that we animated.
Wow.
Yes.
You know what, too? I think in that way it helped us because we'd lived with these characters for 4 years. And one of Ian's assignments was like, I want you to write just a paragraph from each of their point of view about what in the story the golden homemoon is the kind of MacGuffin, it's the goal.
Yeah.
But what's that really about is these girls finding a place with each other that they couldn't find anywhere else in the world. So these are people who, whoever they were, that didn't quite fit were prior to finding each other, and so we wrote. It was so nice to be able to write those. It felt like we'd been waiting to write that for 4 years, and it kind of unlocked like Mira just monologuing about what it means, and then you give that to Mark and EJ, and they turn that into a lyric, and then which you listen to Juicy, and it's like he talks like Christmas missed us. It's like one simple thing and one visual, and you realize what it means for this guy to go from nothing to pop star. So I feel like that. It was scary to find it late, but I think every movie finds something late, and I'm glad we had some.
You do keep rewriting, and just like Chris said, it's like the songs generally written later you just have such a grasp of who these people are and what the movie needs.
How many iterations do we do? Like, it was a lot. This was the
Six
one.
fully different songs by
And
4 writing teams.
I think when I first heard it, all the versions, it didn't really land for me emotionally, and I just knew. And I heard this one in a car going to like the Vancouver airport, and I listened to it on my AirPods, and I just knew it was it. And I had tears because I was like, I finally got it.
And I think I was also nervous because I knew that we were walking this really thin line, and it was so important these songs were fully embraced as K-pop songs, but then fully worked in the theater. And it's almost like it's almost like we did like K-pop plus. It's like we honored everything that K-pop is.
So yeah.
It was made by K-pop makers, and then we just blew it up for the theatrical space.
I love that. I know we have to go, but Chris, I know you wanted a vacation for a long time. I don't know if this is going to allow for that. Have you started thinking about the further adventures of the K-pop team?
We were just talking about this yesterday. Because we've been done since mid-April is when we delivered the movie. And fortunately, we didn't have to wait too long to see it get to the audiences. But we were like, okay, we're wrapped. And that actually was not vacation, guys, because we were still waiting for the movie to come out, for everybody to see it. So we didn't realize we were just riddled with anxiety waiting for this. And then, once the movie came out, like I said, we just all that relief.
Yeah.
But then now we're like, yay, we have to go, which is amazing. But
Not restful somehow.
Yeah, but
in a great way.
I don't think we ever.
Chris is never going to get a nap.
But I don't think we're the type of people who want to rest. We're always thinking about things, and thinking about what's next, and new ideas. So I don't know. I kid myself thinking like I just want to sit there and do nothing, but
no,
it's hard.
I think also that when it goes well with these movies internally, before the movie comes out in the world, you and these like hundreds of other people have built out of nothing these characters, oftentimes a process, and you're very attached to them. They're family, and as tired as you are, like I want to spend more time with Zoe and Mira and Rumi, and even like towards the end of production, my poor art department, like we had finally figured out how to do concerts, like a process that didn't kill all our poor lighters, and we were all like, well, now I want to do another one. I finally know how to do it. So there is a kind of, usually if you're really proud of what you created, you want to spend more time with that family,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think everyone else wants you to spend time with your family, so it lines up nicely. Guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that question and answer with the creators of K-pop's Demon Hunters. It's a real fun film. If you're a big fan of K-pop, I think you'll really love it. And if you're interested in demons and how to destroy them, you'll like that too. If you enjoyed this episode anyway, you can press that button right there to subscribe, or you can take a look at other videos I have below. I also have these two here that you might be interested in. And we'll see you next time on Animated Educated.